Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our Vivid presentation about StormRunner Functional. This webinar is live, and it will be also provided after the event in recorded format. So today's meeting is called Introducing StormRunner Functional, how to easily extend your test to the cloud. Today we're sponsored by Micro Focus, and Micro Focus is one of the key partners for the Vivid organization. Vivid is the authorized user support group for Micro Focus and previously HP Enterprise Software. I'm your host, Milan Danrell. I'm with Machine Data Systems out of Toronto, Canada. I'm the local user group leader out of the Toronto chapter, and it's my pleasure today to introduce our speakers. First is Eran Bachar, who is Senior Product Manager for StormRunner Functional from Micro Focus. And he'll be leading much of the discussion today. He's a Senior PM, and he's responsible for not just StormRunner, but for cloud functional testing software solutions. Over 15 years experience managing complex operations for worldwide enterprise companies, and specialized on cutting-edge technologies, which is what we're all about here. And I'd also want to, I'm glad to introduce Robert Gutierrez, a solution architect from Micro Focus, based out of Vancouver, Canada. Over 12 years experience in public and private sector IT, from development strategy and governance, and a very useful person and resource when it comes to testing solutions as well. Now, for those of you who are new to this presentation format, a little bit of webinar housekeeping. The webinar itself will consist of some slides that are being presented by Eran and Bob, a demonstration as well of the StormRunner functional solution, and also some time for Q&A. Now, it's a little bit of a different user interface, so I want to make sure you're aware of the panels that are out to the side. So on your left-hand side, you'll see a number of different panels to either raise your hand for a question, a chat window for a question, and also even to change your language as well. The panels can be docked and expanded as needed, so those are around the periphery. If you do want to ask a question, just type it into the Q&A panel. If you would like to ask the question in a different language, because we may have some attendees from other countries, then use the indicator as shown to choose your language and then ask your question. And again, if you have any difficulties hearing or with any aspects of connectivity, also please direct your questions to the Q&A. Now, during the demonstration portion, we will also share a link which you will need to click on to actually see the live demo. It'll be presented in a different window, and we'll provide you with instructions at that point in time in the presentation. So without any further delay, I'd like to pass this over to Eran to begin our presentation of StormRunner Functional.
Thank you, Milan. Actually, we are very excited here to be with you guys today. Actually, it's the first worldwide event of StormRunner Functional now that is general available for use. Up until yesterday, we've been into about a year or so in different beta phases, and as I mentioned, as of yesterday, we are in a general available. As you will be able to see today, after working through the presentation and give you kind of a framing of what StormRunner Functional is all about, you will also have the chance to see a live demo of how to use StormRunner Function, and you will be able to experience it yourself right after the demo, going to the Micro Focus website, going to the StormRunner Functional, submit your details, and get a tenant working one for StormRunner Functional with all the capabilities that I'm going to work with you today. But before going into the live demo, I'd like to give you kind of walkthrough of what StormRunner Functional is all about, how it fits into the application delivery management portfolio in general, and specifically for the functional testing business. So Starting with a kind of a very high-level overview of the functional testing portfolio, we have an experience of more than 20 years now, starting back then in the early 2000s with unified functional testing. Actually, there was a bit of a different names back then. Started with WinRunner, Astra Quick Test, QTP, ST, and eventually we reached into the unified functional testing enterprise. This is our flagship solution for automation with more than 40 technologies and protocols supported. Actually, the largest broad support of protocols, starting from the traditional technologies up to the latest and greatest that we have in the digital era. In 2004, we released into the market the business process testing, which is our testing framework that builds on top of the unified functional testing as well as on our application lifecycle management. This solution is more of the less of technical audience, or to be more precise, the business users that have the business knowledge. We want to contribute their knowledge around what the business processes the organization needs, what is the right data that needs to be driven into those business processes. And with that, we've came up with the business process testing. Around 2014, we released the Unified Functional Testing Pro, or maybe part of you guys on the line knows it as more of the LeanFT. This is our solution, lightweight automation solution that we've released as part of the agile trends that we see out there in the market, where the QA engineers and the QA personas, the technical guys, the dev testers, wants to work in the development ecosystem, working in the development ID, but still have a great capabilities around automation. So with that, we've released the Unified Functional Testing Pro. I'd like to state in this point in time that all the capabilities that we've built, both the BPT as well as the LeanFT, were built on our knowledge and practices that we've built up on from the early 2000s with the Unified Functional Testing as the backbone of all of those solutions. Now in 2017, we are welcoming a new family member to the functional testing portfolio, and this is our StormWater Functional. StormWater Functional, actually, we are going to leverage the cloud capabilities of today and help you guys to leverage the cloud functionalities, the cloud infrastructure, in order to accelerate your functional testing experience. One of the things that is very important for me to mention at this point in time, we are not reinventing our functional testing business. We will help you to leverage the cloud capabilities of today to do your functional testing in a much more efficient way of doing the things. So this kind of recap of the entire functional testing portfolio. Now, if I look from another angle of the shift left and shift right, where shift left is more of the automation and more of the technical audience, where on the shift right we're talking about of the business users and more of the scriptless, codeless part of the world, you can see how the solutions that I've just described fits into this mapping. So on the middle side, we have the Unified Functional Testing, the Unified Functional Enterprise, which fits into the Test Automation Engineer. On the left side, we have the LeanFT, the Unified Functional Testing Pro, which the main persona that we are addressing with this tool is the dev tester. As I mentioned before, this is our lightweight automation tool. It can be easily installed on top of the developer IDE, and in a very simple installation, you get all the automation capabilities on the more of the development and the technical way of doing things. And again, on the right side, the business process testing with the business analysts and the testers that has a great knowledge of how the business processes should look like, how the test data should be shaped up, and for that they have the business process testing. We took all of those solutions, understand all the different personas and their needs, and came up with StormWater Functional on top of it as something that we leverage, as I've mentioned previously, the cloud services in order to accelerate your work. So in the real-life demo that you're going to see in a few minutes, you will see how easily I connect the Unified Functional Testing into the StormWater Functional and being capable of leverage the cloud capabilities. For example, a lab service that holds all the operating system and the browsers that a user might need to do as part of the test coverage work. or all the mobile devices that might be part of the testing activity that needs to be taken into account. So, before moving to the next slide, one of the things that we have done in the last, I would say, 18 months, we started a very intensive and comprehensive work of analyze roughly about 800 enhancement requests, because this is a key source of information for us. Those enhancement requests mainly arrive from our loyal customers. They were submitted all the things that they would like us to implement within the product. In addition, we also talked to about 500 practitioners worldwide, those practitioners that doing the day-to-day work within our tools, within the needs to do the testing activities, whether if those are the manual activities, whether if those are the automated activities, whether if those are the business process testing activities, and we got a lot of insights around this. But that was part of the investigation that we did. We also traveled the world, and we also had a session with about more than 300 customers, and we got a very good picture of what the testing challenges that our customers and actually the market that we are placed with is having today. So we had a lot of issues. We got a lot of, I would say, challenges, but we wrapped it up into 3 main groups, which I'd like to introduce now. The first thing is around test lifecycle management. So the complex and distributed application part, this is something that I think that we are facing in the last 7, 8 years already. But in the last 2, 3 years, it's like kind of complex and distributed application on steroids. So with a simple change that is being done by the development, either by connecting to external web service as an example, or either by adding a small change, this requires the key organizations actually to do a comprehensive regression cycles that actually puts the QA into kind of a challenge. Okay, so what I need to cover now? What this change introduced? How many layers we are talking about? Do we need to cover the API layer, the GUI layer? Do we need to cover the upper layers? All of those questions actually with the complex and distributed applications even enhance this challenge. The second one is need to test as early in the cycle as possible, and this is part of the agile stuff that we all see out there, right? So we want to be able to test as early in the cycle as possible, not just to put a check mark, yes, we managed to do it, because this is a clear business need. With today's reality, we want to release fast. We want to have a big weekly releases. We want to have a monthly releases, a quarter releases. Not just to say we released, but there is a business need for that, either if it's the B2B market or the B2C market. And the last thing, actually, it's about multiple tools, processes, or what we like to call it, bring your own tool. Bring your own tool puts more of the managers into this challenge, because we can do the testing activities with the commercial tools from one hand, with open source from the other hand, and then we find ourselves in a situation where we have thousands of scripts, thousands of tests that are made from different technologies. And we need to find a way to aggregate them all together to make sense for the testing activities. So this is more of the test lifecycle management and how we can manage more efficient the things that I've just covered. If I'm looking on the next challenge, which is about the test design, we've talked about the shift left and the shift right. Now it's about time that we will face the reality that we have users that are technical and they need the capabilities around more of a technical capabilities. They want to work in the ecosystem of the developers. They want to work in the IDE, while at the same time we have those users that are not technical, or they are, I would say, not just not technical. They have a great business understanding and business knowledge, and we need to find a way, to bring them the capabilities to contribute to the automation efforts. This is in around the test design. So what are the different capabilities and how we can bridge the gap between those 2 different personas that eventually the 1 + 1 = 3 in that case. The importance of test data, this is something that I personally, as a previous QA manager in my experience, saw all the time, is because you might have the best business processes and the best scripts and the best tests in the world, but if you will not drive the right test data into those tests, probably you'll miss your target. Now that creates additional challenge, because what is the right test data? And the right test data is, do I need to have like thousands of test data sets in order to test my application to make sure that I covered it all? No. The thing for today, because we want to test as early in the cycle as possible, we need to find the balance between the right test data and the right test asset. And the way I present it is you need to have a reasonable test cases with a multiple data sets that will accelerate the coverage. And for that, we have several solutions that we already started to introduce in the BPT and UFT in version 14 with the TCG, the test cases generator that builds on pairwise and triplet, and the way to create a much more efficient test data sets that build directly to the practitioner needs. I don't know if you had the chance to read the World Quality Report, but World Quality Report in, this year and also last year state that there is increase in test data test data capabilities by 46%. And this is definitely part of the test design activities that needs to be taken into account. The last thing is about multiple platform devices, languages, or the way we like to call it, bring your own device. So I'll give two examples here. The first is the B2B. If you will look on the table of your colleagues, they might have a Mac, they might have a PC, they might have an iOS, or they might have an Android, and the organization expects from the IT department to actually provide all the features and all the applications to actually work on those different devices in order for the employees to get the job done. So this is in the B2B business. The IT department of today's world cannot state anymore, we are supporting Windows 8 with IE 10 and that's it. This is the environment that we support. Because in today's world, the amount of different devices, whether if those are the browsers or the mobile devices, it's enormous amount of those, and it's actually increase exponentially on everyday path. Just for the sake of the example, the different combination of Android permutations, if you will took into the matrix, the vendor, the version, and the flavor, you will get more than 25,000 different permutations of Android options. So this is in the test design. And the last thing is related to the test execution and maintenance. So we need to do more testing because we have semi-changes, small changes, as I started with the complex and distributed applications, and we need to do with less. The less time because we want to release faster. So how we can overcome this challenge? You will be able to see the solution for that in Stomona Function in a few minutes. The execution time is critical. I want to execute my task as fast as we can because think about developer that submit or commit a code. If he will need to wait more than 10-15 minutes to get a feedback on the commit code, he will never execute the tests that as a QA organization we can ask him or guide him to provide to us. So this is on the developer side of the house. But if you are looking on the thing that we want to release faster, we want to have a bi-weekly releases, we cannot state as a QA organization that we need 2 weeks of regression cycle. We need to be able to cover all the crucial capabilities, whether those are the regression or the new features, pretty much fast. So think about what will be the solution in that case. You will be able to see this Stomona Function in a few minutes, but in a nutshell, one of the areas that can definitely help with accelerate the execution time is the parallel execution. So instead of running sequentially all the tests, all the different permutations, all the different test data sets, you will be able to do parallel tests to your testing test sets. And the last thing is regarding rapid development. So with today's options of how to deliver software, it's being created pretty much fast. And as I started with the life cycle management, you can have relatively a very short development cycle that will carry a very, I would say, long and intensive regression cycle. And then we need to find a balance how to do all of those activities and making sure that we meet the timelines, we meet the quality, and we are actually being capable of satisfying the business needs. So this is for testing challenges, and we have roughly not exactly 9 challenges here that we started with about 40 common problems. In Stomona Functional, we actually decided to, together with the loyal customers that were with us on the different design partnership phases, on the private beta phases as well as the public ones, what will be the top 3 challenges that we want to address first? And with that, we've actually decided to go on the following. First, we want to provide you with someone of functional, a digital lab for web, means browsers, and mobile devices, and of course, future-wise on things. This digital lab will be combined from operating systems such as Windows, Ubuntu, or Mac, with a combination of browsers. The browsers will be whether those are Firefox browsers, Chrome browsers, and Internet Explorer browsers, with a different combination of versions of those. And one very important thing to note here is also the resolution type, because in today's responsive UI needs, you don't just want to test your application on this operating system, this browser. You want also to see what will happen with different resolutions and how the application will behave in those cases. So this is the first thing that we would address within StormRunner function. The second thing is about right-size my testing, and I'll explain what it is all about. So first thing, we want to make sure that with the limited time that we have to test, we are focusing on the crucial and the critical environments to be covered. Because as I told you previously, you might have hundreds of environments that you can run your test, but you want to be very focused on what your users will use with your applications. So in order to get this information, you need to get kind of, we said, production data, and the production data around what are the top 5 environments or what are the top 10 environments that are being used by my users, being able to get those environments from the digital lab on demand without you need to install the operating system in the browsers and execute the test in parallel. So this is kind of, I'm starting to tailor now the solutions so you will get the things around it. And the last thing is super important, keep my core investment. So when we did the different customers tools and talking to practitioners, they were very clear about this. We invested a lot of creating our UFT scripts, our LeanFT scripts, as well as the open source one, whether those are the Selenium or the Appium. And we want you guys to provide us this platform with the support of those scripts. And you will be able to see that together with StormRunner Functional, you will be able to execute your UFT scripts, you will be able to execute your LeanFT scripts, and also the open source scripts, whether those are Selenium for web and Appium for mobile. And this is a unique capability for StormRunner Functional because you can have in a single test execution with multiple browsers and multiple mobile devices a different test tools. If you recall, I mentioned the challenge regarding the bring your own tool. StormRunner Functional will help you to overcome this challenge, because in one test you can combine the Selenium script as well as the UFT script, and the backbone will be the test data behind the scenes that will actually drive the entire test. So those are going to be actually the 3 main points that you will see in the first version that we are going to release to the market. Of course, we're going to focus on additional testing challenges, but all of those will be led by those 3 items that I talked about. And every single capability that you will see within StormRunner Functional will touch a challenge, and of course will touch the challenge in a way that will help you guys to make your work in a better way. Okay, so after framing the problems and talk about the top 3 items that we are going to handle, I'd like to show you the unique value proposition of StormRunner Functional. So it's an on-demand solution that allows engineers to test the web and mobile applications intelligently and continuously with an optimized ROI. And actually every single word that is called out here has a meaningful explanation. On demand, this is a cloud-based offering. You don't need to install the solution. You will get it just by opening your browsers, as you will see in a few minutes. And also, in regards to the test lab, the digital lab, you will not need to install your operating system, your browsers, to update your mobile devices. You will get it out of the box because it's an on-demand solution. It allows engineers, in engineers world, we are looking on the dev testers, on the automation engineers, on the manual testers. I would say that less on the managers. You will see that the solution itself is very focused on the engineers level and I would say, mid-management level, because we want to provide the capabilities that will be focused on the practitioner needs without any other features, capabilities that will interrupt them to do their day job. Web and mobile will be the first two technologies that we are going to address within STUM1 and Functional. Future-wise, we will add additional technologies such as API for the IoT, and might be also some additional, I would say, top UFT technologies that we will see on demand. Intelligently, as I talked with you about the right size my testing, we want to be able to bring you not just insights of production usage, not just insights of what is being used in other environments worldwide, but also to let you take a concrete action with those insights. So think about, for example, and you will see it in a few minutes in the demo, that you will get information from one of the analytic services that shows what are the top 5 environments that are being used by your users. And in a single click of a button, you will be able to click a profile in the lab and execute a test. So that means that you right-size your test, and you're doing not just coverage and then you need to do the analysis. You're doing the right test on the right environments that are being used by your users, and that is much more intelligent to just execute thousands of tests and on thousands of environments. The same will go for the test flow on the intelligent area. So STUM1 Functional, not in the first release, but this is definitely part of the things that we are looking at. We will be able to identify what are the user flows and being able to correlate of what are the tests that exist in your repository and give you kind of indication of how much those test assets that you have within your repository are close to the reality of what your users are doing in reality with your application under test. Continuously, the STUM1 Functional is built to support the modern CI/CD pipeline. So on day one of STUM1 Functional, we have a Jenkins plugin, the ALM automation plugin that I guess all of you are familiar with, and you will be able to actually, with a simple indication of a few parameters, to execute the STUM1 Functional test within your CI/CD in Jenkins. Git will be used to support the SCM stuff, and of course other technologies, as you will see later on in the demo. With that, the last slide that I'd like to share with you about is actually the benefits. So just to wrap up all the things that I've covered so far, as a service offering, you don't need to install anything. You get the product on demand. We will drive additional capabilities into the product because it's a SaaS offering, so you don't need to go to shutdown. You don't need to do upgrades and so on and so forth. You get all the capabilities once they are ready for production. It's one-stop shop for all your functional testing activities, whether those are manual for exploratory testing, whether those are automated for automation testing, starting from the developers to do the unit testing if they want to execute STUM1 Functional, up to the end-to-end complex business processes. Hassle-free testing lab, as I've already mentioned, you will get a digital app within STUM1 Functional. You don't need to install the operating system, the browsers. You don't need to take care for the patches. You don't need to take care for new browsers. Even a beta browsers will exist in the digital testing lab. Leverage your existing testing assets, even if those are UFT, LeanFT, or an open source one. And of course, not just give you an offering or a solution that will execute your test. We want to be able to help you with root cause analysis and cross-browser reporting to actually pinpoint where the problems are and how to accelerate the resolution of those. Last slide before we are moving to the demo. It's a STUM1 Functional high-level solution, and just to show you how all the things that I've mentioned as the benefits and the capabilities exist within those 4 layers. The first, which is our core layer, the web and mobile lab. This is our lab service. You will get there web, browsers, mobile devices, and things. On top of it, you will get the execution services, where you have 3 of those. First, you can remote execution your tests. So directly from your UFT, you can use STUM1 Functional as a lab service and execute the UFT script into the cloud, or, for example, using the Selenium with the common web remote web driver capabilities and execute the test into Stormwater Functional, similar to the implementation of Selenium Grid. You will also be able to upload those assets, whether those are the UFT scripts, LeanFT scripts, or Selenium scripts, and by that actually we will take responsibility also for the execution services that Stormwater Functional has as a services within the solution itself. And last, but definitely not least, you will be able to see in the demo how we can record a new asset using our record and replay engine that again is based on our knowledge from LeanFT and UFT. On top of this layer, you will have the reporting layer that that you will get the status of the test, pass, fail, completed, so on and so forth. You will be able to submit defects directly to ALM Octane if you're using ALM Octane, which is our preferred tool, or if you're using additional defect tracking systems such as Jira and Bugzilla, you will be able also to submit defects to there. And the last thing, of course, regarding trends, so how test is behave to a specific time frame to see a trend of the test execution itself. The last thing in regards the analytics, and analytics is not just to give you insights, but to take those insights and make from those operational decisions that will influence on your test executions. Of course, we will also integrate Stormwater Functional with external integrations as well as with internal integrations. The external integrations will be with tools like Applitools for visual testing, Jira for defect tracking system, New Relic and Google Analytics for production data, Git for source control management, and Jenkins for the CI/CD needs. Of course, we also have internal integrations with Octane as our preferred lifecycle management solution. Stormwater Loads, for those of you who are familiar with Stormwater Load, and TrueClient. So a TrueClient script will be able to be executed on Stormwater Functional as a functional test. At the same time, it will be also available to be used in Stormwater Load for a load test. Network virtualization, they actually bring real-life condition into Stormwater Functional as well as give some insights regarding the behavior of the application itself, and of course the APM with application performance monitoring. So this is the complete piece of Stormwater Functional. Of course, not all the things will be available in the first release, so those are the ones that mark with the star. Those are not in version 1.0, but definitely in our backlog, and we are already working intensively on of adding those into the product itself. With that, I'll stop for a second and hand over back to Milan or Shibu to give you the guidelines of the how to open the link, so you will be able to see the real life demo.
Thank you, Eran. So Shibu, would you please provide the link on screen? For the attendees, you'll see a pop-up to see if you want to navigate to the external link. That pop-up will open up a new browser window, which will load up a screen which will let you see the screen share for the demo portion of our presentation. So we'll give you a second to go there, and Eran, I see the screen there. It's got the same welcome slide. Yes.
Yep.
So it looks like you're all set. And again, for anyone, if you have questions, type them into the Q&A panel. If you have difficulty seeing the content, please type something into the chat window. Eran, it's all yours.
Okay. So I see that we have 79 viewers, and let's start with the real demo. So, welcome to Stormwater Functional. This is the homepage of Stormwater Functional. As you can see, we have several options here, several tabs, and I will start with the main one. The homepage, the landing page for the practitioner to get all the information and have some quick start things directly from the product itself. So let's start from the left page, and you can see here several widgets. Those will be tests that I, as a practitioner, would like to track very closely. So you can see that we have a Run Reb, ADM Automation Mikal, ADM Daily Sanity. Those are the tests that I'd like to follow closely. I also can configure exactly the widget and how I want this to look like. Particular test. I also can configure here the different tests, all the information that I'd like to pull in here in order to get trends of the test that I'm responsible for. Of course, some information regarding the latest test runs, so all of those tests actually that were executed, what is the status of those, and if I like to jump directly to the test, I have a deep link here. Once I'll click on it, I'll be directly moved or to the test. On the left side, you see some assumption model of how many runs we have now with them, what is the time the best. Of course, you have here the color page, which can be replaced according to I would say logo or so on and so forth. You can also see it gives information that are now tested. In a few minutes, when I'm executing test, you will see the notification bar being updated with the test that I'm executing. I would like to point you, and actually this is my analytics last 30 days. This is a real life data that is being pulled from Google. The Storm Runner functional customers, all the Storm Runner functional beta customers, Storm Runner functional. So you can see the majority of Storm Runner functionals, using the Windows 10, Windows 7, Mac, of course, and others. But change into the operating system, and I can see what will be the different operating system. The browsers. Yes. Okay. So we can see that Chrome is actually the dominant browser that is being used with the combination of the operating system. I can also see what are the different mobile environments that are being used in order to consume some other functions. So we can see the Apple iPhone, and we can see the LG, and we can see some iPads. But also I can see what is the resolution, and you will see here something very interesting. So of course, this Full HD that is being used with Windows 10, and we have some other different resolutions with other environments. Think about this, and think about the fact that you will be able to click button here, create it, for example, the mob environments used by your real users. And actually, this is we are doing automation. We have here, this is being pulled into a profile and execute the nightly runs with data that we are coming and teaching on how to do things. We are doing those exact practices here with the development of Storm Runner functional. But one of the things I started with, if you recall, is that we want to help you, together with Storm Runner functional, to leverage your existing assets. So I'll move now to UFT, and this is our latest 0.02 release that actually was released just a few days ago. And you can see here a script that will go to some Star Wars stuff, show how easily I can connect this UFT to the testing lab of Storm Runner functional. So going to the tools options, going to the GUI thing, going to Storm Runner functional. To do it, and once it's connected, this UFT, this screen is now connected to the system. All the resolution, all the mobile devices that are currently available within the Storm Runner instance are to users. And let's see what we can do with that. So I'll go to the record and run setting, and instead of running on see here, I think what are the available environments. So I'll choose just see that with a different Ubuntu, and for each and every one of those environments, we also get the different browsers from the earliest specific script will be able, or test will be able to execute on the latest Chrome beta release. You have it. You don't temp. You just have it, and I'll acknowledge. Okay. Execute the test itself. The remote new SRF test that I've just showed you will be executed on the local machine of UFT and command to StormRunner function. Let's this test run because StormRunner function is asynchronous. I don't need to wait for this test to be completed. We talked about need to do more with less. Or another example. And another example. And this is a Selenium implementation of abilities for security reasons. This or the URL with StormRunner function. I'll specify the browsers, which will be in that case Chrome Fed Windows 10. This script now I can execute it from my ID here, and you will be able to see the new test IDE directly to StormRunner function. And this is an open source script. StormRunner function is coming approach we took in ADM for the the idea is that we're much more open, not just the commercial tools, but we will also bring knowledge and IP into the open source market. So this is how can I use a remote from UFT or menu. But what I'd like to show you now is, let's go to the script. We talked about the uploading capability, but now repository. Let's go to script, Selenium, and choose one. Open it to view it, upload. Now I have a script that is used. StormRunner function. You can open StormRunner function. I'll exit here, and I want great. Here the upload Selenium PVV like cloud native development. So var zip equal, and that's it. And I also can add in, and that will be a run, and I have a new test parameter, and that's it. So I have also the control of test data and tags to the environment as well. So now we have a new asset, and I don't have this because I got indication from my that there is, and I'd like on the fly. So go and I'll record a new web that I want this. So in that case, I'll take the Windows 10 resolution. So on the function, I will go to Digital Lab for browser with system, and now let's Great. We found some information, but we all know that automation is not just about record and replay. It's also about a checkpoint. So I want to add a checkpoint, and I'll click on this one. And I want the checkpoint actually to notify on this one. So you can see that I also added a checkpoint. I would like to show you the console and the LeanFT script that is actually being created on the fly, including the verify of what I'd like to verify now. So this small GIF of Amazon Try Prime. So, okay, that is a great script that I have. Clicking on the Save button, let's call it Amazon Star Wars. Save this script. And you can see that the script is being created, exit it, and we have a new script that is now created on the fly without myself installing any tool, without myself doing any tedious action regarding find the browser, find the operating system, do all of those activities. I have a test that I've just created. We walked through up until now. We saw the way to execute a test script from my local machines, the UFT, the LeanFT, the Selenium of the world. I also showed you how you can upload a script into someone a function, and also how to create a brand new script that can be used now in a test, in an automated test. And this is exactly what I'm going to show you now. So we will create a new web test. This will be Vivid Webinar. We will put a tag of sanity. We will choose the script that we would like to add. So we will take the Amazon Star Wars, and we will take the uploaded Selenium AOS pVivid. And now I'd like to emphasize here what I told you like about half hour ago regarding the fact that we are the only vendor now in the market that can execute open source solution as well as commercial from the leading vendor Micro Focus. So you can see here the Amazon Star Wars that is a LeanFT based script, and upload Selenium AOS pVivid, which is a Selenium based script. I'm going to add those two scripts, and now let's go to the fun part to choose environments. We talked about our digital lab, so let's utilize our digital lab now. So I'll choose the Windows 8.1 with this Chrome. We'll take the beta one, and I'll take this resolution type. I'll go and choose also Windows 10, and I'll take the Firefox in that case. And I'll choose the 57 and with the lowest resolution. And also I'll choose Linux with this Chrome. And of course I'll take, in that case, the Chrome 62 with actually this resolution is good enough. But you can see here we also have the Mac. Mac will be available in the next few weeks. So we will have a Mac operating system, a real Mac machines with browsers that you can use. So think about, you have a PC, you don't have a Mac, you need to make sure that your application will be working as expected on a Mac machine. You don't need to buy Mac. You have it within Tomano Functional. Select those environments. You can see that now I have 3 environments, 2 scripts. What will happen now, and I'll click on the Run button, is that those 2 scripts will run in parallel on those 3 environments. And this is exactly the challenge that I was talking about regarding we need to do more with less. We need to do more tests with 3 environments, with less time, parallel execution. This is exactly the challenges we have someone talked with you guys, and we've implemented it within the product itself. Before clicking on the Run button, and actually I'll try to accelerate because I'd like to save some time for Q&A, there is also the tunnel capability. So if you have your application behind firewall and you want to test it, with a simple installation of a tunnel agent, you will create an outbound communication from your on-prem over the firewall to someone functional. After a handshake, and the secure tunnel will be open, and you will be able to use this as well. Clicking on the Run button, this test will now be created. It means that someone functional will allocate 3 environments, will send those 2 scripts into our digital lab, and we will report on the results. Okay, just before moving to the result, I would like to show you exploratory testing. So all the things that I've showed you up until now are capable for both web and mobile. What we're going to do now is a test on a mobile device, a real mobile device that we are going to host in the cloud. Before going to the mobile device, you can see that we have a mobile app. And specifically for this Tomano Functional, we have 8 different devices. Those are real devices allocated in different locations in the world that I can use and I can manage here. So I can install one more connector, I can reserve the device, and I can, of course, upload an applications that I want those applications to be stored in Tomorrow Functional. So when I will start a test, then a test on a mobile device, the application will be installed as a predecessor step. So let's go to the exploratory testing. Let's create a new mobile session. Let's call it Mob Vivid. And let's choose environment. I'll choose now one of my Android devices. So I can install, uninstall the application, select it, and start the test and the exploratory session. What will happen now? Someone function will go to the Digital Lab, say, hey guys, I have an exploratory testing that I'd like to start on this mobile device, and instead of creating an automated test, what we will do now is that we will create an exploratory session similar to what you guys are familiar with our great on-prem tool called Sprinter. So I have the device here, and I'll go to the home page. I'll go to the different applications. So you can see on the left side all the different actions that I'm doing. I'll open the calculator and I'll clear it. And let's do 25 multiplied by 4. This is the grade. And I'd like to take a snapshot in a second. Okay, so let's take a snapshot here. And let's write the text. Wrong calc. Kidding. Clicking on this one. And one more thing that I'd like to show you now is in regard to integrations. So I'll open a defect now to ALM Octane, call it wrong calc, with severity critical, wrong calc, and of course submit the defect. Just a second, submit the defect, and you can see that we have a new defect that was submitted into ALM Octane right now. Let's save it, and I can continue with the session. One more thing that you can see, the console created a very detailed manual session, exploratory, that later on we'll be able to send into ALM Octane and host it as a script that can be later on executed manually. Done, passed, not passed, sorry, failed, wrong calc, and that's it. We have an exploratory session that was created. I'd like to show you now the session itself. Let's go to the latest runs, and you can see here a few things. First of all, we can submit a defect. We will be able also to share it with others, and of course later on we will be able to translate it into automated script. So you can see all the steps and of course the snapshots that I took, and also the defect number in Octane, which will be a deep link to Octane directly. Last thing that I'd like to show you, which will take us 1 minute more, and with that we will finish the demo, is the results. And let's see what happened with your test. Okay, so we have a new 8 tests that were created. And let's go to the Vivid webinar. So you see that in parallel we are already having some tests that completed, some of them passed, and let's open this one. So we have something that happened here. You can see that we navigate to the online shopping, and we have all the different steps that we have created. And we have a fail step here. So let's see what is the fail step. And I can see that what are the different properties, what are the values, and start my investigation. Of course, I can go to compare mode and actually see the difference between the different executions on Ubuntu from one side and Windows 10 from the other side. And here, for example, something happened. I couldn't find this element, and this is a Selenium error message that for those who know Selenium will be able to understand what happened here and fix the issue itself. Last thing that I'd like to show you is also moving to the screenshots, because we're using two different resolution types. So you can see here, this is the resolution type of the more, I think 1024 on 800, and this is the more of higher resolution. And you can see that even the snapshots are different ones. Once we will introduce the visual testing, you will also get the indication of, although it's different, then we have a successful test. So just to recap, we started with homepage. We bring all the assets and all the widgets that the practitioner needs are. We move to the on-prem offerings. We execute it directly from the on-prem offerings, whether those are the commercial or the open source one. We upload an asset. We created a new asset. We execute an automated test. By using our digital lab, we also enable the parallel execution. And of course, we also did an exploratory session on a mobile device and had the results in order to pinpoint and give you the root cause capabilities of where the problems are. I think in that point in time, we will move back to the Vivid Stefan. I'll hand over to. Okay. So I see that we have 79. I'll hand over to Milan for the Q&A part. Thank you.
Thank you, Eran. Thank you very much. So also, I think Eran mentioned that there is a free trial for the solution. So the URL is there, and we'll also provide the content behind this presentation up on the Vivid portal. We will get to the Q&A in just a second. I know we don't have much time, but we'll take the most critical ones before. But I do want to mention two things. One is we do have another session coming up in a couple of weeks on managing compliance and risk with data center automation. That's also another key topic these days in IT. So we invite you to look out for that, look for the invitations, and most importantly, because this is a user group, we need you to tell your colleagues, especially if this is outside your area, but you think might be of value to them as well. And we will be sending also a survey here. So we've got a lot of questions to go through, only a minute and a half or so to do so. But let's look at some of the key ones. We will answer these on the portal or in other ways, so your question will get answered if it's applicable. But let's take a very quick look at some of the key questions here. One was asked, is record replay possible when the web application is not internet facing, such as over a VPN?
Yes, so if it's a web-based and it's a browser-based, so the technology allows it. And as I mentioned previously, we have the tunnel support. So with the tunnel, with a very simple agent installing on the data center, someone a function will be able to handshake with this agent, create a secure tunnel, and will be able to actually create and do record as well as playback with the capabilities that I've just walked you through.
Super. Another question came up. What if we need to test with older versions of browsers? You saw a bunch of different versions there. Is that also possible?
So the browsers that are going to be supported in Snowmon Functional will be, of course, the beta, which is not the release browser, and the last 5 to 7 browsers that exist with a particular family. So for example, Chrome now is the latest 62. So we will have browsers from Chrome 57 or 58 that you will be able to use with the different resolutions, of course.
Super. Probably two more. One real quick one. So you showed mobile device testing. Does SRF, StormRunner Functional, also work with emulators as well?
Great point. StormRunner Functional will work with both emulators for Android as well as with simulators for iOS. This is one of the top priority line items that we have within our backlog, because we do see the need not just to test on real devices. In initial development stages, there is a need to test an emulator on a simulator, and those are one of the capabilities that we would like to introduce within Snowmon Functional as well, and of course also from TCO. So buy a device, connect a device, whether if it's our cloud framework or it's the customer that buy the phone. This is much more high cost than using an emulator or a simulator, at least with the initial phases. Yes.
Okay, one last quick question.
Sure.
I know there's a couple that came at the last minute. Does it allow scheduling of tests?
Scheduling of tests is something that will be available using the CI/CD. So if you're using your Jenkins to execute the test themselves, you will be able to use the scheduler within Jenkins. Of course, if you are going to use ALM Octane, for example, as the orchestrator for the test itself, ALM Octane will also have a scheduler. So Model Functional is another execution platform to take the responsibility for the CI/CD. It's more of design and execute a test. If you want to get your scheduling, this is part of the CI/CD area to maintain and handle. Okay.
Thank you very much, Shiran. So everyone, we're at the top of the hour. I know some people have to drop off, but I want to thank you all for attending today's conversation and presentation around Stormwater Functional. It's a very exciting platform, a great direction for the portfolio, and Vivit is here to help spread the word. So by all means, when you receive the short survey after this meeting, fill it out, tell us what you think, tell us what you'd like to see next, and by all means opt into more updates and news on this. So once again, from Vivit, thank you. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry, I have one quick question there. So there's a short poll here for those that are up on screen.
No, Milan, I'm sorry. That's the survey that the audience can do on their own time.
Super. So we'll share that. We'll share that link to the presentation, and we will close out this meeting at this time. Once again, thank you very much for attending, and have a great afternoon.
Thank you.